Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 57th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by my fellow Hans Zimmer appreciator. I need a cough. Jaden.
Yeah.
You know when you can feel your voice sort of like it's failing as you're speaking?
Yeah.
And John Cena, aka Fitzy, aka Liam.
Hey.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and everywhere else podcasts are found. So please subscribe and all those things if you enjoy the show. Tell your friends and family about the show and about our lovely Instagram page as well. Now, we have a poll, speaking of the Instagram announcement for you all. It's tremendously exciting. The streak will live, hopefully. I did specifically choose based on concern for losing, I must say. So maybe that's probably a bad mindset, but I also don't want to lose. So I'm going head to head with Fitzy this time. What are you nominating for our Instagram poll this week, Liam?
My choice is Moneyball.
Oh, that's a good choice. That's good. Have you guys seen it?
No.
Oh, that's great. I sort of want that to win, actually. I went for, of course, the known proven commodity in the Cinema Effect community, Tom Cruise, and chose Minority Report as my nomination.
That's a good one too.
Is it? Oh, cool. Okay, that's good. So we've got a good poll. Head over to the Instagram page in the around 24-hour mark after the episode is posted on Monday, when you're hearing this, and vote. And the winner will be reviewed in a fortnight's time. So please do that. Let your voice be heard. As always, we'd love you to submit your questions, thoughts, reviews for next week's film in the YouTube comments section or send us a DM on Instagram. The specific question of the show this week will be, what is your favourite TV series opening? You got plenty of options. There are some bangers out there. So let us know what's your favourite. This week we're reviewing Weathering for You. I did that on purpose.
Shit.
I must say, though, when I went to type it in on Netflix, I had to really think about it for a second. It was messing with me. I don't know why. Which is a film that opened in Japan on the 19th of July, 2019. It was directed by Makoto Shinkai. The genre is, like, I want to say it. Anime is not a genre. That's not what a genre is, right? That's just.
It's a medium, but I think there's also enough conventions that come along with it that it might define its own genre.
That's a good point, actually. It's an anime / drama, I guess. The synopsis reads, a high school boy who has run away to Tokyo befriends a girl who appears to be able to manipulate the weather. Sounds pretty wild, doesn't it? Jane, tell me about your experience with Weathering with You, is the name of the movie.
I quite liked it. There's a lot I love, but there's some I don't like, namely the whole police arc. But I think I really love it. I think it has all the, what do you call it? I don't know, like everything the director's done in his previous films. You can see it in this one, and you can see he's expanded on it. He's gotten better. I think the animation is, not better than ever, but pretty close to it. I think the story is pretty wild, but I think it's really great. Yeah.
It is pretty wild. It's pretty. I was gonna make a pun about the weather, like, what's like wild weather,
Torrential.
It's pretty torrential.
Nah,
that's terrible.
Nah.
That's really bad. I want to know, right? Is Shinkai here? This guy, is he sort of like? I know my only understanding really of anime is Ghibli, and Miyazaki, right? Is this guy obviously not on the level of that, I assume, but is he like sort of a known commodity? Is he like, you're going to see a Shinkai film? Is it sort of like that?
Yeah. I think since Your Name in 2016, I think it's become a bit like that. But before that, not really. But like, because I think Your Name's like the highest grossing film in Japan ever, or it might have been overtaken recently. But so like there's he's become a big thing. But even before that, his shit was decently known.
Right, so he's sort of new on the scene.
I mean, he's been producing movies since like the early 2000s, I think.
Okay.
So I mean, like, he's not new, but like his knownness is new.
Absolutely, his popularity.
That's the word. Yeah.
Oh, this show is basically just us helping each other with words. Fitzy, what do you think?
Oh, I didn't like it. It was just overly cringy for me. Just the music choices and the relationship, and it was so messy. I don't know. There was just a lot going on, and it felt way too. It felt like the bad idea of what anime is. You know, like when people think of anime tropes and shit like that, it felt like a lot of that, and it was just a lot of. It's just a lot. Like it's just too much.
It is a lot. The movie's a lot.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. As I was watching it, I thought this isn't probably the best jumping off point for you, Finney.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'll say this. This is actually probably a good anecdote to describe the experience. I had it on and I was watching it for like an hour and a half. And, family members start just walking, by just as you do to get places in the house or whatever. And, like, normally it doesn't bother me whatsoever. I felt a bit self-conscious about it this time. And I think that's sort of what you need to know. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, are they like judging me for what they're seeing or hearing right now. I thought it was all right. I don't know. Like I'm with Fitzy, I think, but I also am pretty bad at understanding or critiquing this sort of filmmaking. So I'm going to lean on you guys, I think, for a fair bit of that. I just really struggled to get into the lead characters. Hodaka?
Hodaka. Yeah.
He just kind of sucks. And and yeah, it was weird. And what you were saying is 100% true. Where it's like anime isms, or at least what I understand anime isms to be, sort of just everywhere, and not in a good way. At least for me, just sort of weirded me out a lot. And yeah, I mean, I think there's something here. I think the film has heart and passion in it. You know what I mean? I don't think it's not like a void of emotion by any means, but so there's something there. I don't know if that something is up my alley personally. I want to know now that I can sort of, for the first time in my life, participate in the whole subbed dub thing because
wait, which one did you watch?
This is like a legendary thing. I absolutely watched dubbed.
Oh, that's why you don't like it then.
Oh, yeah, I watched dubbed.
No, dubbed.
Is that the reason?
No, like that's obviously that's not the reason. There's so much more to it than that. But honestly, like funny. Watching, like, because like I sometimes like when I'm watching stuff, I'll swap between the sub and the dub, and hearing the Yankees speak is so fucking weird. Like it's so weird because like obviously like Japanese, like they're speaking their own like way, and like it's kind of like I think in anime it kind of comes across as this like melodramatic like extra kind of type thing, and then the English dub kind of has to replicate that melodramaticness, but it just doesn't do it as well or as naturally.
I think is it because we're familiar with the language? You know what I mean?
Probably, yeah. And like it honestly, the dubbing does make it worse.
Okay.
I was going to message you saying you have to watch it in sub, but I didn't because I trusted you and you failed me.
I thought both of you would watch it in sub for sure, and I wanted to watch it in dubbed on purpose. This wasn't a thing I did like because I didn't think of it. I definitely thought of it, and I thought I want to experience it in different ways. I want at least one of us to watch it in dubbed. But Fitzy also watched it in dubbed. Is there any particular reason?
Oh, I just didn't think that. I just put it on and just,
sure.
It was in dubbed, so, yeah.
So that Alison Brie and Riz Ahmed were part of the English cast, though, so at least you got, like, some decent talent there.
Were they really? What?
Riz Ahmed was the detective and Alison Brie was Natsumi.
Oh. What? Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's interesting. I did not get that at all. Why is Riz Ahmed the detective? He's got, like, 5 lines. Oh, well. Okay, no, cool. I thought that would be a thing, because I know that's like people feel very passionately. I mean, really, only about the subbed thing. People in the anime community don't like dubbed, right? Like,
not really.
I thought not. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, for Cowboy Bebop, it's an exception, but yeah.
Oh, is it? Is the English VO sort of revered there? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I guess the biggest problem for me with the movie, I'm sure we'll touch on some anime stuff. I don't know. Again, I don't know exactly what's weird for other types of anime or not. So you guys are going to help me, but just in terms of my core issue with the story, I think I like the idea of oh Jesus, please get her name right. Hina, right? The premise is interesting enough, I think. Okay, there's these rare power people can have to manipulate the weather, and that's cool. And then sort of befriending someone like that, and having that relationship. Oh, that sounds fine as a premise. It's just Hodaka is just so uninteresting to me, and I don't understand his motivations for anything he does at any time. It's he's sort of. I understand he's meant to be like teenager, sort of awkward person, and that's fine. But I honestly think more than anything, there's little things here and there. I just need to understand for this story to work why he ran away in the first place. I think that's probably one of my core issues. And I read trivia. The director said it was a deliberate choice not to go into that. And it sort of just didn't make any sense to me because this entire movie is driven by the idea that, especially in the second half, Hodaka's trying to evade the cops. He literally causes a major accident in the middle of Tokyo when the friggin' truck blows up, and he still is like, oh, we need to evade the cops. I just constantly on the run. I don't understand why. What's driving him in this? Why is he? I don't. Am I making sense here? If I had some relation to his previous life, and it can be any reason, you know what I mean? I'm not saying he needs to go into a deep backstory about how he was abused as a child or some shit like that. Any emotional, character reason as to why he feels he wants to sort of go and explore the wider world and move to Tokyo in the first place, and why he feels that he can't be contained back on his home island, which ends up happening to him anyway. Because so much in the movie is sort of reliant on the fact that you want to root for him, and in that you want to root for him not being captured, because that's what a huge part of this movie is.
You just weren't angsty enough as a teen to understand.
I guess. I guess. I mean, that sort of is his character.
Yeah. It's kind of a recurring theme in his films of like, particularly the male characters feeling trapped or like, suffering from like small town syndrome where like they just need to get out. Like you see it in 5 centimeters per second. You see it in The Garden of Words where he feels trapped in his little world, even though he's still in Tokyo, and you see it in Your Name a bit as well. So it's kind of a trait of the director. So that didn't really raise any alarms. And I think the vagueness was kind of, because I mean, it does address the fact that he felt like he was suffocating. And I understand that, he feels like he lived a stagnant life and he didn't enjoy that. I thought that was plenty enough for me, at least.
No, that's fair. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't really it's a bit think extreme, it was an issue.
But
yeah, like I didn't. That's a fine reason, and I that's all I got to, and that's a fine reason to kickstart why he leaves in the first place. Like when he's on the boat at the start, like that's fine. I don't need a reason for why he's there. That's fine. But it was just the whole. He's so desperate, like you'd think his life was on the line that he can't go home. You know what I mean?
I think later, because he becomes swept up with Hina and stuff, and he now actually has something he enjoys and doesn't want to let go.
Yeah, I guess
it's not about going back to something bad; it's about losing something good.
That's a good point. I guess I just struggled to buy into that. Those cops were awful, by the way. They were so incompetent. How many times did he just like run through their legs or some shit?
They were kind of
like 3 times. Very laid back. They were so laid back. I couldn't believe it. I mean, the movie looks gorgeous. Looks great. I know that particularly for me, the environments were, and the backdrops and the setting was really well realized. Is that, I know you mentioned the other film that you mentioned from this director last week, Jan. Is that what you got from last time too? You mentioned the detail. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I can't imagine how pissed his team would have been when he said, "I want to make a film where it's constantly raining," because that would have been a bitch to animate. But I mean, like,
very true. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, this dude loves his rain, and he also loves his cooking little segments, and like they're always imbued with such detail, and they're so nice, and it's his films really are a treat to look at. You know, you can watch them on silent almost. You know, it like, you know, it's like I saw a joke about like the last one I watched last week, instead of 5 centimeters per second, it's 5 backgrounds per second, because it literally is just that good of just constant glorious animation. I think this one kind of falters in like this kind of like weird like 360 shot that he tries to do to add depth to the world, where like it with the fireworks, it looks a bit weird. But I think like when it remains in that 2D frame, I think it's really great.
I'm so glad you mentioned the 360 shot. That's the only part of the movie that looked trippy to me. I didn't dislike it. It did take me out of. It did take. I think it's cool that they sort of went for something I would assume to be sort of out of their comfort zone, just because of how. Is that something you've seen a lot?
I think he does it to a lesser extent, probably once or twice in Your Name, but in this it seemed like he tried to lean into it a bit more to add like, you know, to try and make it feel more authentic or real. You know, adding that depth in it. You know.
Right. It's like I said, it took me out of the movie, and it definitely stood out as looking weird, but I kind of liked it, honestly. You know, it felt, from anything clips I've ever seen, it felt unique to this director, so it was cool. And I assume the way it sort of, because it looked weird, like obviously the models and I don't know how to describe 2D animation. I feel like I understand like 3% of how to animate CG, so I can talk about it. I know nothing about this, so I don't even, the models is probably the wrong word, but like the characters, because they remain 2D, and then the environment sort of turns. You can sort of tell.
I think it becomes CG at that point, because like,
yeah, exactly.
So like they have been using like this like medley of CG and anime since like the 90s, when they like started with it. So I mean, I think in that scene is where it's most. I think it's safe to say it's CG in that scene.
Yeah, exactly. Given the motion of the shot, the environment definitely looks 3D. Yeah. And I mean, it's cool that they sort of, I don't know, bring out a whole different method of animation just to make that shot look cool. So I'm here for that. How did you guys feel about, I don't know, their relationship, how it develops, the climax of the movie? That's where it gets all very, the climax specifically, you know, where they, I don't know what happened. I got no idea what happened, to be honest. They go to outer space and they teleport into another realm or something, and you know what I mean? Like, is this weird for anime even?
No, that's not weird at all. I mean, like, it's pretty mild shit. I thought you popped to my mind. I was like, you're gonna think this is so fucking weird when watching it, especially like all the dragon stuff, and like, because like, you know, I wasn't aware of how much this movie was like meddled with, like, you know, how much it was an amalgamation of like fantasy and realistic. I thought it was more like Your Name kind of does that a bit. I mean, its whole premise is like a sci-fi kind of thing, but like it's to a much more realistic degree. So I didn't know how fantastical this one would be. But yeah, so I mean, like,
okay, yeah. I mean, regardless of the bizarreness of what's actually happening, or our lack of understanding of what's actually happening, I don't know. Does it? I think in that moment, it's meant to be more emotional than anything. You know, it's just meant to sort of connect. I don't think the movie's like trying to get you thinking about what's actually happening in this moment, like literally, or anything like that.
no,
So I don't know. Did it resonate with you? Like I don't know. Did it hit you anywhere? Did it hit you in the heart and the body?
yeah, it did to me, because I was able to latch onto the characters, but like, I think kind of in those final sequences, I think especially with the cop shit, it got really messy, and like when he picks up the gun again, you know, I think I was kind of withdrawn a bit. So I don't think I was fully invested or attached or whatever. So I mean, like, but I definitely felt something.
You felt something. Hey, no, that's all they can really ask for, I think, with the abstract nature of that scene. I don't know what was going on. What was going on with the gun? You know, it was a weird sort of.
Well, I think if you remove that whole police aspect of the story, it remains the same, if not better. So I really don't like that.
Totally.
part of it. Yeah.
The police end up looking for them both because they're minors. Specifically Hodaka, missing person report filed. Like, okay, that makes sense. I don't really understand what the gun just felt every time it showed up twice, I think. When it showed up and he was like starts aiming it, the movie just felt like it went way too grounded and serious for me. Like it just in that instant. Like now we're playing with weather powers and a cool like teen romantic drama thing and weird stuff, and then there's a gun that turns up and he aims it at someone, Like, Jesus Christ. That's sort of how I felt. Apologies for the broad question, Fitzy. Did you like the romantic relationship between the two leads here?
No, not really. I thought it was just like too like melodramatic and like intense,
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was the main part of the film that I didn't really connect with. So, yeah.
It did feel like the world was on the line for these, for you know what I mean, for these two to get together, sort of thing. And for Hodaka in his mind, I guess it sort of was that. But
But that's anime for
you. Yeah, I guess. Like that's. I appreciate you saying that. That's the knowledge I lack. I mean, maybe my prejudice for anime is well founded. Then But I did find it hilarious where, like, Hodaka spends the whole movie so desperate to, I don't know, be with, to have that romantic connection with Hina. God damn it, they both start with H, and I did find it hilarious how at the end, like, they go through the whole spiritual realm thing, and then they come out of it, and like it starts raining, like ridiculously, and then they come back like a year later and Tokyo is just comically submerged in water, and he effectively like ruined millions of people's lives for this relationship, right?
But the conclusion that they come to is that he didn't, because it's always been like that, 200 years ago it was underwater anyway, and like that's why he's like, no,
sure.
But then he's like, no, we caused this, and then he's like, no, we are positive. I mean, yeah, no, you're right.
I feel no, but that's true. They do have that line. I guess that's sort of the movie's way of trying to. I sort of respect it, trying to thematically get around the idea that it's okay, it's fine. But that's the first thing I thought. We get that really. I really like the shot of like Tokyo just basically half underwater. Really like that, and that was my first thought. Like, wow, they did this to these people, and like everyone had to move.
The 16-year-old kid created the biggest refugee crisis in the world.
Right? That's what it was. Oh my god, yeah. I don't know. In terms of weird, I mean, the cat was adorable. Shout out to the cat.
I was about to say, surely you appreciate
cat was awesome.
that.
And then it came back and it was all grown up. It was great. But outside of that, this is, again, I'll probably just be met with the response, this is just anime, okay? But why do the characters just moan and pant it for any reason? You know what I mean? Like, for literally anything, they just why is there so much panting in anime, Is that a valid question? Is that a dumb question?
It's I don't know. A bit harder to express exhaustion through animation, so I guess that's kind of their response. But I didn't really think this movie was that guilty of it. Where did you...
okay, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe it's just worse in other things then. I don't know. It stood out to me for sure. Just all the time. I don't know. Just like someone says a line and they start like...
right.
It's just excessive panting.
Yeah, okay, I understand now. Yeah, no, it's kind of like that exasperation of like, it's kind of exasperation is desperation coming across in an animated medium.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's a lot, and I've never really, and as someone who's a fan of Western animation, it's not something I'm used to. So
that's fair.
Because is it sort of a known? You said you didn't notice it here. Is it a known thing that people talk about that with anime?
Oh well, I mean, like the moans I didn't, but like the panting kind of, yeah. But I mean, like the moans definitely like the.
So moan probably no. You're right. You're right. The moan.
I mean, like. I can show you something else with that. I mean, like.
Okay, sure. Moan was probably the wrong word. Yeah, just exasperation was
the
best thing to describe it as.
The panting, yeah.
Why did the movie obsess so much on how old they were?
Yeah, I was a bit lost on that too, especially that flip at the end awkward? About her being 15, so 18 or whatever. So
it was really awkward to me. It was like, what? She said she was 18. She's actually 15. What? And it's like this huge thing. You can't get over it. I'm just like,
I think
it's more of the because he didn't, because he essentially pressured her into taking that, and he didn't realize that he was the responsible one. And then that comes from a difference of cultures and the fact that how much respect and how much importance is placed on your elders type of thing. And he was kind of being really.
Oh, okay.
He was really irresponsible in forcing her to do this. That ultimately ended up in her dying, essentially. So I think that's kind of where just a guilt came across. But for your little Western mind, it didn't come across that way.
For my yeah, totally.
No, but it was weird. Kind of, it felt like it was too obsessed with it.
The movie was. It brought up many times, and it didn't. Again, maybe it is just a Japanese cultural thing. Like everyone in Japan, because their culture, obviously operates differently. They sort of took it differently. The way that I took it is not the way you'd probably want to take it, And I don't know, just like the how many times does he have to be called out on looking at one of the female characters' body and are you looking at my boobs? Why? Are you looking at my tits? Why? Why do they do this?
Isn't it?
It's what?
Isn't it 4 times? Probably twice with the older one.
It was 3 or 4 times. No, totally. It happened to both of the female characters.
That's just anime, legit again.
Right.
Yeah, but that kind of thing doesn't happen in a Ghibli film, as much. Or I don't think it happens at all. No,
no, but I think that's kind of. I mean, that's a very small portion. But if you look at anything else, you look at Akira or Ghost in the Shell, or Neon Genesis Evangelion, or any the popular shit like that, it's cranked up to a 10. I mean, this movie wasn't even that bad about it, to be honest. I mean, it was kind of just comical and quick, whereas other products kind of put a bit of a focus on it,
Right.
I don't know about Akira, but
I mean, Akira probably not, but there's 1 or 2 scenes, that kind of.
Yeah. I don't know. It felt more overt in this. Yeah, I don't know.
To be clear, I'm not here of oh my god, this movie's objectifying women. I honestly, I'm of the mind that in terms of something I understand about anime art style often and art direction is that often female characters sort of over sexualized in their design, and I don't have anything against that, honestly. I think if other people have an issue with that, that's fine. But I think that's sort of an art choice, and if that's sort of how they want to represent certain characters for depending on who they are, I think that's totally fine. It's just when they go back to this gag that's not funny, you know what I mean? And it's the way it's executed is so awkward. Are you looking at my body? I'm no, it's just.
No, I think that would have that would have put a massive laugh internationally.
Seriously? Yeah, probably. If the joke has an audience, that's fine. I was not here for it. I found it very awkward and pretty cheap.
I think also we need to pull attention back to the fact that you're watching this with on your TV speakers out loud. Yeah, exactly. Even I don't feel comfortable watching anime on the big TV. I always do it either on my computer or if I'm on the main TV, it's with headphones because there's something weird behind to come up.
Oh no, that's so.
So I think the awkwardness of the scene is probably reflected in your actual awkwardness of your family having to hear that line.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I wasn't thinking of that in the moment, but I mean, that might have something to do with it. I don't know. Yeah, so what you're saying is that you have to either... That just annoys me so much. It's it would annoy me anyway, of knowing that I'm watching something that I feel like I have to adjust the environment I watch it in. You know what I mean? And that will make me enjoy it more. That's sort of a con.
I mean, you don't have to. It's just what I do.
Oh no, sure, but if it gets any worse than this, I probably would. You know what I mean? The idea of it's fine if you're in a theater with everyone else who also paid to be here and knows what they're in for. The second you get an outsider who can hear it. It's like awkward. It's like, Fitzy, you mentioned the music choices. Were you?
Yeah.
Please elaborate. I found the vocal songs very off.
What?
I just feel like they played at really bad times. Like, there's this.
Oh, okay.
Like, they didn't always play the climax. They just kind of like this loud J-pop song just started, blasting, and I was just like, "Oh wow,
It really
yeah,
did.
this is anime for sure." I mean, it was it it was kind of tonally more consistent when those songs played during like really melodramatic, like climax emotional moments. Like them meeting the clouds or whatever, the ending.
Yeah, no, totally, yeah.
But when he's like running up the stairs to find her, or just some random thing is happening and then just starts blasting, it's just too much.
It really does blast, doesn't it? That's the best way. No, that's fair. I mean, the vocal Japanese J-pop, is that what it is? I'm used to the phrase K-pop. Is J-pop
Japanese
a thing?
pop.
Okay, but that's like a term. I mean, that's not my music anyway, but that's irrelevant. I totally agree. It works fine when they're flying around in the clouds and shit. Outside of that, not really for me. Jaden, jump to its defense.
No, I thought it was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it elevated the scene, especially when he's running up to her. I thought that was great. I really love Red Wimps because they also did Your Name with him. And I really love I love that kind of like demented, like kind of like pulling sound. I don't know how to describe it. That like it's like this digital pulling sound that that gets repeated often through the movie. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Is that in the J-pop songs?
No, it's not in the songs. It's just like a part of the score at different points.
I think I might,
because like I think that's fantastic, and like it's really weird, but with the songs as well, like I thought that I didn't have an issue with them. I think that's just my weebiness coming through.
Yeah. I was going to shout out the score generally. I did quite like it. There's I don't know if this is what you're talking about. I don't know if we're thinking of different things, but I'm also not going to be able to describe it. But there was a particular moment, I think, where Hina floats for the first time. Gave me, I don't know if this will mean anything to you guys. Hopefully it means something to Lucas specifically. It gave me huge Breath of the Wild score vibes. Huge. Like, it felt like it was ripped right out of it, but it totally worked in the scene. It was like piano, but not like melodramatic piano, like really light, almost sort of reflecting the rain piano. You know what I mean? Poor descriptions all around. my linguistic ability to describe music is legendary on this show, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's what you're talking about.
No, you're talking about something different.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's huge Breath of the Wild vibes when you're riding around in the open world for sure. But it was cool. I liked that about it.
God, one thing about the show has made me realize I don't like pay as much attention to scores as it seems like you guys do. I need to more consciously try to focus on scores because I can't really remember much as usual. So
no, I think I'm the same because like usually it'd probably be like 3 or 4 moments that jump out, and then it's through listening afterwards that you kind of come to appreciate it. With this one, this wasn't the case, but like with other products, it very much has been.
To echo Jane's point, I don't want to give the impression that like I'm so tuned into the score every millisecond of this movie by any means. Like I take note of when like I just had that one Hina floating moment that stood out, and I took note of it. And that normally happens just like 2 or 3 times. That's sort of about it, But also, it's not about. You don't have to worry about it if you don't notice it. That's fine. You notice other things that we don't. So
I love the way that what's his name? Shinkai, is it? Is that what you said the director's name was?
Yes.
Yeah. I love the way he depicts Japan because it's really gorgeous, and he loves his rain. Like it's in most of his films, but like this kind of neon soaked wonderland that's kind of like imbued with traditional spots is exactly what it was when I was there, and like I love his obsession with trains and like the way they're also prominent in all his movies, and he's such a great animator and he's such a good he depicts Japan so well.
That's really cool. You can relate it to your experience of going there. I mean, and it's also cool that he just likes rain so much. He's like, oh, what's the premise for my next movie? Oh,
yeah,
I'm making about the rain.
Well, I love the scene where he's like at the start, like where he's just like outside Shinjuku Station. Like it's so nice, like it's so true to life, Yeah. Pull up Google Maps and just take a peek.
I mean, there are other characters to mention. I think you've got the boss dude. I'm bad with these names, obviously. I kind of liked him. I thought like his little B plot thing going on with his mum and his kid and not having custody was interesting enough. Every time it popped up, I was engaged by that. And even just like, I don't know, I felt he was a well realized character. His little thing of like smoking addiction and people calling him out on that. I don't know, it's just like I like little small characteristics you can sort of put on characters and remember them by like that,
How did you feel about the cat calling him out on smoking?
That was hilarious. That was great. Yeah, it's like, and it allows for little moments like that. I like it a lot. And he was a cool dude.
I like the brother character, the brother of the girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny they like introduced him on the bus at the start, and he's like swindling these two different girls, and then
he's like 10.
He's just a fun character in the film.
That's true. No, you're totally right. He honestly might be my favorite character. Even again when he has that moment where he's like 10 years old, but he acts like a mob boss who can call in favors. He like calls in the two elementary school girls like to bust him out. That was cool.
That was good.
That was a good moment. Yeah, he was good. I don't know. I guess I'm done actually. Oh no, I've got trivia. Forget it. This is the first Japanese anime with heavy product placement.
Oh yeah,
which was funny. I realized again. I've seen Totoro, and I've seen a total of 30 minutes of Yu-Gi-Oh! In my life too. So, like, knowledge very limited, but I did stand as me. I'm like, that is an Apple logo right there. I don't think I've seen this. And then she straight up gives him a Big Mac. That is clearly a Big Mac,
Yeah. I wasn't sure if that was just part of, like, the art style, like, he wanted to, like, his accurate depiction, or if that was actual product placement.
I don't know if there was there an actual Mac as the logo? Anyway,
yeah,
I don't know if there was. Oh, there was. Okay.
Because like there was like establishing shots of like the feels weird calling it a restaurant, but I guess it is. The McDonald's restaurant.
It is definitely a restaurant, dude. Michael Keaton would bust in here if he heard you say, "You questioning if it's a restaurant?"
That's a little joke for the Lost episode.
Totally. Oh yeah, that'll never be recovered.
I mean, you could release your cut with your two discussion. I mean, like.
Oh, that'd be awful. No, absolutely not. That'd be atrocious. Funny. Oh, and leave it, but like don't edit it so it actually just goes silent when you're talking.
Either or.
Go silent for a minute and a half, and I'll just go, "Oh, gee, that's a great point." Oh God. And Weathering with You is the first anime film to be officially released in India. Director noted the online traction the film was getting, especially on Twitter, where Indian fans started trending hashtag India wants anime and made the release of the film possible theatrically. So, do you think they regretted it? I'm sorry.
I mean, when you compare this to Bollywood productions, what do you reckon they'd prefer?
Oh, that's a solid point. Hey, they'd definitely prefer Bollywood, I'd assume.
Did I send you that if Game of Thrones was made in Bollywood thing?
No.
No? Oh, I need to find that again and show it to you. It's so fucking funny.
Oh, okay. That sounds weird. Bollywood is another thing I know nothing about. Like, even less than anime. So, Matt, what I'm saying is I'm going to choose a Bollywood movie for the next poll.
No, don't, please.
Final verdicts, Jaden.
7 from me. I liked it a lot, like I said at the start, but yeah, there are quite a few pitfalls. I think I agree with what Liam said initially as well about it being messy, and I think there is quite a few unnecessary things. But like it seems like a lot of the complaints you had just seem to be things that I took in. So I mean, so I'm not quite on your level, but like 7, yeah.
Fitzy.
5. Some good stuff, but I realized I couldn't get into the anime this time. So yeah, 5 out of 10.
All right. Oh, you know, I'll give it a 5. I thought it was all right. I didn't. It was average, but I didn't hate it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was awkward and weird and not for me, but I can see how this could connect with other people. And
how do you feel?
I didn't think anything that was boring or anything.
Sorry about bringing it up after we finished the discussion, but like, how do you feel
No,
about
you're right.
the greater fantasy elements, like the dragons and the skyfish and shit? Was that weird to you as well, or did you just kind of take that in?
When was there a dragon in the film?
I sort of forgot about it, to be honest.
The dragon is the cloud thing that ate him at the end, and then he gets transported to the Sunshine Realm.
Of course.
No, but there's reference to the dragon earlier when like she's talking about like the rain spirits and whatever, and then like at the end there's kind of that visualization of it, like that kind of swirling storm is the dragon.
Bro, I just don't get why he likes rain so much. Like, this director, this movie just loves rain, you know.
Makes shit look cool as. Dude, nothing beats a, rain-soaked Tokyo. Like, it's just neon reflecting everywhere. It's great.
Let's get into news chat. So, Warner Brothers is apparently reportedly searching for a black actor and director to helm this J.J. Abrams produced Superman movie.
Oh, is JJ doing it?
He's producing it, yeah. It would be interesting if he directed it, you know. But, yeah, I don't know. It's sort of one of the biggest stories going around this week. Is there anything comic book wise? Is there a black Superman in the comics or something? You know,
yeah.
Not that there needs to be, but there is. Okay,
there is, but I think this is going to be a black Clark Kent.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And that's what I saw IGN. You know, I was talking about IGN baiting their audience. That's what they specified as well. You know, and like that's
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what do you mean? Like, if there's a black Superman, why wouldn't there be a black Clark Kent?
No, because it's a different character. It's just a different Kryptonian or different Superman. It's not Clark Kent. It's just a, you know how like there's Miles Morales instead of Peter Parker.
Oh, you're saying in the movie it's gonna be a black.
Yeah, in the movie it's gonna be a black Clark Kent, but in the comics I think it's your Miles Morales type of thing.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. I mean, if that's, who knows? This is still reports, but if that's true, that's kind of interesting. I mean, I don't really care enough about Superman to be annoyed at that. You know what I mean?
He's an asshole character.
Character.
A bad character is what I mean in that. Not that he's an asshole. I mean he's a bad character.
Sure. He's definitely not a character for me, really. I don't know. This could be interesting. I don't know if it makes Superman, like, I don't know. Like, obviously, like the race element is like the top of the story and like the big thing to be discussed, but like sort of the least interesting part to me.
Discuss, really.
No, there's not.
Up, really, but yeah.
Oh well, just in terms of more, I don't know if you guys had anything to say about it, but also just the fact that what can a new Superman movie be? What do they want it to be? You know what I mean? Like, what are they going to do? Another origin story? No.
Well, that's why it makes more sense for it to be this other, this alternative comic book character than Clark Kent again.
Right. No, totally.
But IGN said Clark Kent, and that's what I want. Yeah.
Unless that was all part of their triggering game.
Yeah.
Which could be. No, but that's true, though. If it were another character, it'd make way more sense. Because it'd be obviously a different origin story. And the other thing, of course, everyone wants... I don't want to say everyone. People want Henry Cavill back, right? So, how does that fit in? I know that, I don't know if he's entirely done. Is this in that universe? There are questions to be asked. You know what I mean? Questions that I'm not overly fussed about.
Does Cavill want to come back, though? Because I thought the report was that he was done with it, and like he decided to be done with it after everything.
I'd heard that at one point too, and then I've heard other things. I think it's a bit vague. It's a bit unknown. But honestly, at this point, I don't think he'll come back. I don't see it, but I'd like it. But it's fine. He can just be Geralt. Geralt's way better anyway. He's a way cooler character, so we'll just go and do that, Henry. It's fine.
I agree. Might be cool.
For sure. We will. We got some MCU info. I feel like, dude, the MCU news just keeps coming. Not that any of it's that groundbreaking, but it's just every week. They released a new sizzle. It's a pretty cool sizzle, I must say. That was sort of celebrating the return to theaters.
Oh yeah, the trailer.
And focusing on what they're bringing out theatrically. And in that moment, I realized, dude, there are so many movies, and like, if anyone was talking about MCU potential, Marvel oversaturation 2 years ago, like, that ain't nothing compared to what we're doing now. We got like 4 shows and 4 movies still to come this year, like literally 4. It's crazy.
This year,
yeah. You got Black Widow in July, Shang-Chi in September, Eternals in November, Spider-Man in December.
Oh, okay.
It's nuts. But the new info is, of course, the fact that Wakanda Forever is Black Panther 2's subtitle. So they changed that. It was announced as Black Panther 2 originally, so that is a change. Which it makes a ton of sense. And it's a cool subtitle. So, they'll probably just focus on other characters. Perfect. Cool. The Marvels is Captain Marvel 2's title, because we all love Captain Marvel. So
are they going to cast the young Captain Marvel for that, or are they just going to stick with Brie Larson?
I think what it is, it's Brie Larson, but it's the Marvels because it's Miss Marvel as well, who's that Disney Plus show coming out this year. Yeah. What's her?
Kamala Khan is what I know.
Yeah, exactly. Her. Yeah, it's her. In it, and it's also Monica from WandaVision, who's also a Marvel, who's also another. I don't know her superhero name, but it's those 3 in this movie. I'm by no means excited, but I'll take it over just another Brie Larson movie. You know what I mean? At least it feels different.
Wow,
there's new characters. I like Brie Larson fine. The movie was just whatever. So like anything to sort of inject new characters into it, I'm cool with. But perhaps the biggest thing is that we got some Eternals footage for the very first time. And this is exciting because Eternals, of course, directed by now Academy Award winner Chloe Zhao after Nomadland. And the footage we got was, it was like 15 seconds, so I'm not freaking out by any means, but it looked interesting. The main thing to take away from all of this, take it how you will, Kevin Feige was going around a lot, I don't know if you guys saw this in the last couple of weeks, saying that Eternals is the best movie they've ever made, and he legitimately thinks, genuinely, and I'm not, hey, he knows way more about the movie than anyone on planet Earth. He thinks it'll be nominated for Best Picture next year.
Yeah, but I thought this was going to be a show.
Eternals, no.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's this Chloe Zhao film. I also doubt, don't get me wrong, but outside whether or not he gets nominated for an Academy Award, like I don't really give a shit about that. It's just more, it's very interesting that he's choosing to back this movie in this way. You know what I mean? It's a very specific thing to say about him. Like,
who's in the cast?
He can come out and hype his movies all he wants, but he's never said something like this. It's very specific, you know?
What's it about and who's in the cast?
It's about people I've got no idea about these obscure Marvel characters, but you've got Angelina Jolie, Kit Harington, bodyguard guy, Richard Madden. The cast is stacked. Kumail Nanjiani. There's shitloads of people in it. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting to bring up because Academy Award thing, who cares? It's just more the fact that it's setting different expectations for an MCU film. You know, I'm not saying I think it's going to be a masterpiece by any means. I got no idea, but I think I can walk into it now having a different sort of mindset, you know. All right, so then, Jane, tell me about Sir Alex Ferguson, may be called Never Give In.
I think Never Give In is the tagline. It's just a film about the greatest British manager in football history. You know, the greatest manager in football history. You know, he's a sir for a reason. You know, for his what is it? Your acts to, you know, whatever your profession is, in this case, sporting.
In service of
sport. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It's just a documentary about him, about his gradual rise to, you know, the prolific profile that he now has. You know,
I see him here. I found him.
Yeah, he's become it's probably a bit of a hagiography. Is that how you say it? You know, when you make someone a bit of a saint in their thing.
Oh, I've never heard that word in my life.
No, yeah, it's probably a bit of that, but he deserves it in all means. His accomplishments are really they're uncomparable. I'm keen for it.
All right, is this going to be on Netflix or something? Or
I think it's coming to theaters first.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know where it's coming after that.
Cool. Now we'll get into our highlights of the week. Fitzy, what have you been watching?
I started Invincible, the
shit,
crime show. Yeah, I've seen the first 3 episodes. And yeah, it's pretty great show so far. It's like, you guys have heard of it, I assume. No? Yes and no. It's just a pretty it's not like gratuitous, but it's like pretty violent animated superhero show.
Actually, now sorry, yeah, I heard wrong. Yeah, no, okay,
Right, but I mean, yeah, it's on the rise in popularity, I guess. So more people know it soon. But Stephen Yeun voices the main character, teenage character. He's really great. His dad is Omni-Man. He's voiced by J.K. Simmons. He's like fantastic as him. And it's like kind of in the tradition of The Boys, kind of subverting different superhero tropes, I guess, and ideas. But it's also just kind of a really good, conventional superhero story with more, violence and blood and that kind of thing. And I don't know, it looks like it's going to be really great. So yeah,
it's
awesome.
It's based on the work of Robert Kirkman, isn't it?
Yeah, it's based on a comic. Yeah,
I've heard about the comic forever, but I just don't read comics, so I've never, for that reason, I would have checked it out if I did. But Jaden, what about you?
I watched Alien vs Predator, which was interesting. I'm much more of an Alien guy. I think it's hard not to be when you watch the first 2 compared to. I mean, I think the first 2 Predators are decent as well. But it's rather interesting in the story it crafts, but it's just that it's got such a B movie finish and vibe and overall kind of thing that it just doesn't end up as good. Because the story is actually rather interesting, and it's kind of sets up. I can't really talk about the story without spoiling it, I guess. But what it does for these characters and how they bring the humans back into it, and they link the predators and the aliens together makes it is really cool. But then it's just that it's got it's so dated. It's so fucking dated. It was made in 2004, but it's like, I think the xenomorph and the predator, they look great, but everything else in the film, it's so clearly 2004, mate. It's not great. I don't really know how to talk about it without spoiling the story, so I guess it's kind of a bad pick, but yeah. Okay. I'm sure spoiling the story wouldn't be the fucking end of the world because Alien vs Predator, but still.
Was the story riveting?
No, but it was interesting.
Oh, okay, all right.
What they try to do is interesting, but then the finish is just not there.
Aren't there multiple Alien vs Predator movies?
Yeah, there's 2. I need to watch the second one, but I've got other priorities this week. Alien vs Predator, SA.
Tough.
Other priorities that include just anything else. I watched Wrath of Man this week. I watched this brand new Guy Ritchie movie, and I liked it a lot. I thought it was really good. I highly recommend people watch it, and I highly recommend people know nothing about it if you can. I had not watched it. We talked about the trailer on the show. I didn't watch it though, and I think that's going to really help because I can sort of see, after I'd already seen the movie, a YouTube ad popped up for me that was the trailer, and in the first 5 seconds of this, I was like, oh no, if I'd known this would have not been fun. But going in knowing nothing, the film is really, really structured in a way of building to reveals that if you just knew them would be like obvious premises for a movie, if that makes any sense. Like I could just tell you a premise of this movie that would actually spoil it, but because it seems obvious, like, oh, that's not a spoiler, but it would actually ruin like the first 40 minutes, or at least the intention of what it could be, you know? Anyway, outside of that though, ton of fun, highly recommend it. It was not what I expected from Guy Ritchie, you know? It's not by any means, I wasn't expecting something in his traditional gangster genre, but even still, it lacks the sort of humor and levity of his style. It's Guy Ritchie. If I don't know, he like grew up in quotes. Not that I want that, but like it's very dark and very violent, but in a very cool way. Jason Statham's awesome. He's so great, and I don't know. I recommend it. It had cool story twists and things going on, and the ending was satisfying. And I couldn't ask much more out of what the movie was. Out of what you. Apologies for not being able to fully describe the premise, but check it out. Is the end of the story.
In the behind the scenes on Snatch, Stather asks Richie if he's ever going to make a serious film, and I guess this is kind of that.
Oh, dude, it's so it. Oh my god, there's not. Yeah, it's very serious. Not without not empty of humor by any means, but the score is totally. If I could just like play you 5 seconds of the score, you just totally get what the vibe is. It's so ominous. It's like it's just death shit is going down. Score is just what it says. It's great. As always, now we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you, do you give a shit about the Oscars? Is how Jane put it. Lockie said, which ones are the Academy Awards? Are they for actors? I'm being super genuine right now. Lockie, I don't know if this was intended as a submission, but it's a great submission. That's all you need. That's all you need to say. That's all you need to know. Thank you very much.
Could just Google it instead of waiting, however many hours he had to wait for your reply.
Luke said, I've never watched a single Academy Awards. I don't really care for it. I see the results on the news the next day. Does that count as watching it? Definitely not. Also, I love the description for the Falcon the Winter Soldier episode. Old mate Steve Rogers is on the moon confirmed because Cinema Effects said so. Thanks, Luke. I'm glad someone reads the descriptions because I'm not going to lie, I put 10 minutes into them each week and most of them aren't funny, but I try a little bit, so thank you. Andy said, I usually like watching the Oscars, even clips on YouTube of people receiving them, and I got to watch it live for the very first time last year. I was the same, actually, because all the other years we were at school. In terms of my opinion on the Oscars, I used to think they were kind of formal and felt mostly white, which I liked it that way. Also, diverse films could still get recognition at these award ceremonies. I think that's very important. This year's was so untraditional, in quotes, quote unquote. I know the seating arrangements were different because of COVID, but also it felt very African American as well. I used to remember when a film receives an award, the film's theme song plays as they go up to receive it. I always like that. That's true. But for this year's, they just sort of do some riff-raff R&B track. What does R&B mean?
It's a music genre.
Oh, okay. For everyone's win, and it just felt so random. There's nothing wrong with it, but I felt they're just constantly forcing this diversity thing, and coming from an Asian, I don't really care about that. I prefer how it was meant to be. Even if the Oscars become Oriental, I still wouldn't be up for that. In summary, the Oscars were very uninteresting this year. Wow, Eddie, that was long, but I appreciate you writing in. So yeah, what do we think about the Academy Awards? I like them enough. I think it was sort of a time and place thing for me last year watching them. Like, I think at that point, if we hadn't started the podcast, we were sort of going to or something. I don't know. Like, I was sort of in the headspace of digging, talking about movies coming out and stuff. And yeah, I watched them then. But as I mentioned last week, I also had no idea they were on this year. So I also can't care that much, can I?
I mean, last year's was exciting because there was so many good films that came out in 2019, I guess.
That's true. The release schedule of what we got last year and is a bit more underwhelming for sure. Still good stuff, but just less interesting to talk about generally. Like if I look at the nominations for Best Picture this year, it's like,
hold on, wasn't fucking Black Panther nominated for Best Picture last year? What the fuck?
Year before, I think. Yeah, year before.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
fucking.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Jane. Yeah, what do you reckon?
I don't know. Like, I think every fucking director and writer be like, oh, awards don't matter, but I think it's important that they do achieve this recognition, and like I think it's not the be all end all of it, but I think having an award is pretty nice. I think most of them will tell you that. In terms of how I used to place a lot more stake into them. I used to watch them a lot more, but I think over time I just stopped giving a shit. I don't know why, but yeah. I have no problem against them. Like I'm not trying to cancel it. I'm not trying to say they shouldn't be happening. But yeah, I just don't care about it personally.
No, I feel you. I will say there was this, the whole thing about, it kind of confused me. The whole thing about how disastrous the ending was this year.
Yeah, but awkward hosting and fucking awkwardness at the Oscars is kind of tradition, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't get. I think the whole thing is the fact that they put Best Actor last because everyone assumed Chadwick was going to win, and then Anthony Hopkins won. And I mean that's obvious because there's no other reason they'd put Best Actor last.
And then he wasn't there as well, though. So.
Yeah,
Hopkins was asleep at 4 a.m. in England.
Totally was, but that's true. But to me, and that's weird. That's a weird choice. If I were them, I would have not made the choice to put it last, just because that's risky. But also, I don't know. I saw a lot of things like, "Oh, it was disastrous. It was the end of the Academy." I was like, I mean, it was just sort of awkward. But as you say, Jan, isn't it always awkward in one way or another? I
mean, I think when I think Oscars, honestly, the first thing I think of is fucking Jonah Hill coming on stage dressed as a bear. He's like, "Oh, I'm the bear that ate Leo." I'm like, fucking hell, mate. Like that. That's the Oscars to me more than anything. Like more than any awards. So I mean,
that says all that needs to be said. All right, that's it for this week's episode of Cinema Effect. Fitzy, what are we watching next week?
We're watching Mitchells versus the Machines, or Connected. It was on Netflix. So.
Does it have 2 titles?
Yeah.
Depending on the region you're in or something?
It was color connected on IMDb for a while, so yeah.
Oh, okay. Got no idea. So yeah, check that out. New Netflix Sony animation film, I believe.
When's Sony going to drop fucking Sony Plus?
Oh, right. So they're doing that PlayStation Video Pass or whatever. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you chatting with me today. Thanks, everyone else, for tuning in. And we'll see you all next week. Have a great rest of your week and goodbye.